Here we are asked to divide the quantity 2x cubed plus 7x squared minus 5 by the quantity x plus 3. And we're asked to use synthetic to do it, and then we're asked to check it. So first, let's do this with synthetic division. The first thing I notice is that the coefficient in my divisor on the x is a 1, so it should be pretty easy to set up the divisor. Just take the opposite of this number here, which would be a -3. Then I put my little divide line, and then I notice that my dividend is missing. See, it's got x cubed, x squared, but it doesn't have an x term before it gets to the constant. So I want to make sure that I don't forget that. So I have 2 for the coefficient of the x cubed. I have a +7 for the coefficient of the x squared. I have 0 for the coefficient of the x, right? I have a plus 0x right there. And then I have a -5 for the constant term. Remember, we just bring down that 2 because 2 times 1 gives me 2, or 1 times 2 gives me that 2 there. And then I just multiply. -3 times the 2 is a -6. Add them together, get a 1. -3 times 1 is a -3. Add them together, get a -3. And -3 times a -3 is a +9. Add them together, and I get a +4. See how easy synthetic division is. Notice that this here now, since I start with a 2x squared plus x minus 3, that means this must be my remainder. And how do we deal with remainders? We can call them plus 4 over the divisor. Remember putting your remainders as fractions? That's why you learned how to do it. So that when you got into algebra and you learned how to do synthetic division, you could show your remainder as a divisor. Now let's try to check this. To do that, we'll take our original divisor, we'll do x plus 3, and we'll multiply it by our quotient, which will be 2x squared plus x minus 3, and then I want to add the 4 onto it. And if you're asking, why do I leave the remainder out of the parentheses? Why is the 4 by itself? That's because x plus 3 divided by x plus 3 is 1, so 1 times 4 is 4. So let's take a look at how to do this with an area model. And then we can't forget to add that 4 back in. So our area model says that I'm going to take x and a +3, and I'm going to multiply it by a quantity of 2x squared plus x minus 3. Now I just distribute. I say this term times this term gives me 2x cubed. X times x gives me a +x squared. X times a -3 gives me a -3. And then I do the bottom row. That number times that number gives me a 6x squared. This number times this number gives me a +3. That should have been +3x. +3x. And then this number times this number gives me a -9. Remembering that I have like terms at my diagonals, then I have 2x cubed plus 6 plus 1 gives me plus 7x squared plus 3 minus 3 cancels out my x's, so those cancel. -9, and then don't forget the +4, that happy little 4 that's at the end. So when I get it all together and combine all my like terms, I have 2x cubed plus 7x squared minus 5. And was that my original dividend? 2x cubed plus 7x squared minus 5, and yes it was.